What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Crypto Cabin. My name is Tom, and in today's video we are going to be taking a look at this Bitcoin price correction. We're going to take a look and see what has happened in the past and what is happening currently to see what's really going on. Is this something we should be concerned about, and what kind of I would be doing from here. If you are new to the channel, please go on down, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you get notified for when I post new videos. Without any further ado, let's jump right on in. Alright, so first of all, I've got some drawings here that are not really readable right now. We'll zoom in and take a look at those. But here is what is going on currently. So we have this blue line going here, which I will elaborate more on. But basically it is the 21 weekly EMA. So in past videos we've talked about a lot of other top-bottom indicators for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general. Most of it tracks Bitcoin because, as we know, most of the cryptocurrencies go where Bitcoin goes, the rest go. Maybe they follow a little bit after. But if Bitcoin starts to go into its bear trend, then it is more than likely that the rest of the altcoins will follow relatively soon after. So the past couple cycles, Bitcoin's topped out, altcoins have rallied for maybe a couple more weeks to a month afterwards, and then they have followed suit. So we kind of need to take a look at what Bitcoin's doing. If Bitcoin's going up, quite often most of the other altcoins are going up. If Bitcoin starts going sideways and Bitcoin dominance starts to drop, then that also is indicative of a potential alt season. So in short, we need to take a look at what is happening with Bitcoin. So with that being said, let's take a look at what is going on with Bitcoin. So this 21 weekly EMA, like I said, is another one of those top bottom indicators. So whenever we are above the 21 week EMA, we are bullish. Whenever we come below the 21 week EMA, we are bearish. So we need to take a look at this blue line here. And I know this dump is probably scaring a lot of new people out, but we need to realize that we have been way above this 21 week EMA for quite some time and have not come back to retest this line. Normally this line gets retested multiple times in a bull cycle, and we have only really touched this, I guess you could argue, well, once back here and another time there. So we've really only touched it twice in this bull market, kind of since the halving in May. Really right at the halving is when we kind of touched it, and then touched it once after. It's not, Bitcoin's not doing anything other than what it's done in the past, right? It's not doing anything unusual, which is really important for everybody to know. When we take a look at the corrections so far this year, we've had a 21%, a 31%, and a 26% correction. And if we were to take a look at this correction right here as well, we have a approximately almost a 27% correction to the lowest point right now, where it hit down kind of around 47.5. So you can see even on this bull run, these high percentages of corrections are not out of the ordinary. And even if we do come all the way down to retest this current 21 weekly EMA, that would be a 32% correction. So nothing out of the ordinary here. And considering that we haven't come down to retest this 21 weekly EMA yet, really, for a while anyway, we have earlier on in this bull cycle, but we haven't lately. I wouldn't be surprised if we did come down to test this. Right now it is currently, if you take a look up at the top here, if I zoom over here, you can see that blue, hopefully over here, it changes when I go over it, but over there the 21 weekly EMA is right now at $44,153. So that is kind of the lowest that I would say that we could come down to, or we could wick like just below it and then bounce back up to still remain bullish. But that is in a long-term bull trend, I should say. So that is something that we can come down to retest for sure and still be in good shape for the rest of this bull run, which many people are expecting to go into the fall, potentially into the winter as well, so September, October, November, something like that. So nothing crazy going on there. I know it seems harsh, especially if you bought in. If you bought into Bitcoin at around $60,000, you're probably hurting right now and getting pretty scared if you haven't sold yet. But there's also some really good research. I've talked about Tika Tawari before one of his subscriptions that I did end up getting for last year, they raised their buy up to price for Bitcoin to $75,000. So in their opinion, and I do think they still do a lot of really good research regardless of what you think about them, their buy up to price is 75,000 US dollars for Bitcoin. So I would personally, I'm not selling any of my Bitcoin right now. I have shuffled some stuff around and more into alts because I do believe that we are going to go into more of an altcoin season, especially if Bitcoin comes down and starts trading a little bit more sideways. Then as that Bitcoin dominance falls, we are going to see altcoins get bigger gains. Still, dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin is not a bad idea up to that $75,000 range. At that point, according to them, that is where your risk to reward ratio starts to drop down a little bit, but anything under that mark, still a good buy. So if you did buy in around the top here, I still think you're going to be in good shape long term if you hold, right? If you don't buy high, sell low, I think you're still going to be okay. We've talked about the stock to flow model as well, and right now they're saying this bull cycle likely to get up to the 6-figure mark. Next bull cycle in 5 years, potentially the $1 million mark. I know it sounds crazy, but the stock to flow model has been extremely accurate, and it's still playing out. We're still on track with that. So just to put this into more perspective as well. So this is what's going on currently right now. Like I said, right now we're at about I forget what I said. We're at about a 20 something percent correction, 26 or 27% correction. And if we do come all the way down to here, it would only be a 32% correction. So let's zoom in and look at what happened during the last bull cycle. I gotta extend this out quite a bit here. But we had a lot more touch points with this 21 weekly EMA. So right at the start here, we had, so there's 1 and 2 right at the beginning that were both 37% corrections. We had a 33% correction that came down to touch the EMA. You can see we can wick a little bit below it, but then the big thing is that these candles consistently close above the EMA, the 21 weekly EMA. What I mean by close, this is another chart analysis, just a really simple one. So the top of this candle for a red candle, this would be the open. The very bottom here would be the close. So that's where it would end for the week. It started the week here, it ended the week down here. The wick is where it went all the way down to, but it actually would have wicked down and then come back up to close right at this level. And if we look at a green candle, it's the exact opposite. It would open at the bottom and close at the top for the week. So we can wick down below for sure. Like we did multiple times in 2017. We wicked down below this level, but as you can see, the close of whatever candle we were on, the close of that candle was always above this blue 21 weekly EMA line. We can also see that back here in 2017, there were multiple 41% corrections. So having Bitcoin drop right now to, even if it does drop all the way down to the weekly EMA mark of 40, what is it right now? Well, it was 42,000, 41,000. If it does drop all the way down there and is a 32% correction, Bitcoin is still doing nothing different than what it's done in the past. And in this last bull cycle of 2017, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 corrections over 30%, right? Then we had this one big correction right after the peak where in a week it dropped 48%. So that is the big one. And then all the way from the top down to the bottom here, that was a full on 70% correction in a span of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. So that was a 70% correction in less than 2 months. And as you can see, we did come down to like retest. We bounced back up, but this was another confirmation sign. As soon as we had a candle close below this line, this was a sign that we were definitely in a bull trend, or a bear trend now, sorry. As you can see, we did come down. We came back up to retest the line multiple times, but we were inevitably in a bear trend until we broke back up again in 2019, where we were now in a bull trend. We kind of break below, definitely bearish, especially with this dump here. I'm not going to say the word, but this dump here at the start of in March. And then since we climbed back up, now we have been back in that bull trend ever since. So if we take a look even more closely here at the dumps and when they've occurred, if this cycle is to play out, similar to the way that the last one did, we have this one smaller correction here earlier, right after the halving, and then we have two fairly close together. So there were 6 in the last one, 6 big ones in the last one. We were on our fourth one now. So once again, we had one a little earlier, 2 very close together. Okay, then we had this big parabolic run, which I believe, this is 2017 we're looking at now. So we had this big parabolic run, which I believe is what we just went through with that run up to 65K. And we could potentially be having this pullback here down to that 21 weekly EMA before we see another big run up to the top. So basically this would be the 4th pullback. We've already had 3. This would be the 4th pullback. We had the 1 pullback earlier on and then 2 a little closer together. So this would actually be 3 fairly close together. Let's see. So yeah, fairly close together. There was 1 earlier, bigger gap. Then 1, 2, 3. If this goes up, comes back down, pumps back up, then we could be seeing another correct after a big pump. Wouldn't be surprised to see another correction still before we kind of go on this extreme parabolic run. There might be a week or so where there is a big candle down, but if we come back down to touch, go up, and then come back down to touch one more time, then if it plays out the same way it did last time, we may not come down to touch this 21 weekly EMA again. And that last parabolic run would be after the 4th or the 5th or 6th correction, sorry. So there's still time in this bull run that needs to play out. I would not be surprised if we came down here, like I said, go up for another big run up, maybe 80 to 100K, get another pullback, and then perhaps the final push up to the upside. But this is all speculative, of course. Nobody actually knows what's going to happen. This is just looking at history and seeing what could potentially play out in the future here. In conclusion, this is nothing new. This is something that has happened time and time again in the history of the charts, even in this bull cycle. And when we compare it to the last bull cycle, everything is still going according to plan. We are consistently staying above that 21 weekly EMA. So in my opinion, there's no point to panic at this point. These are market dips that in general terms are usually a great time to put in some buy orders. Normally a lot of people talk about dollar cost averaging in, but when we do get these big pullbacks, a lot of people, a lot of the smarter investors are going to be putting in maybe a little bit more if they can when these dips happen in order to what they say, what they consider as buying the dip. In my opinion, this is a significant enough dip where you could put in a little bit more if you have, some disposable income that you aren't using, like I've mentioned before, to pay your rent, pay your mortgage, pay all the bills that you still need to. That is always something that is super important to take into account as well. Always make sure you are being responsible with your investments and you aren't, putting in more than you are willing to lose. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, if you like this video, leave a thumbs up, go and hit the subscribe button so that you get notified for when I post new videos. As long as you click that little bell notification and select all, you should be notified for when I post these kind of more time-sensitive updates so that you don't miss out. And as always, let's get it.